Edward Francis Charlton, known to the world of cue sports as Eddie Charlton, was an Australian professional snooker and English billiards player who dominated the Australian scene and was a formidable competitor on the world stage. He was the face of Australian snooker for decades, reaching the World Snooker Championship final 3 times. His gritty, determined style of play earned him respect across the globe. Though he never captured the World Snooker title, his contributions to the sport, particularly in popularizing it in Australia, are immense. He was a true ambassador for the game, known for his sportsmanship and dedication. Charlton's life came to an end on the 7th of November 2004, while he was on holiday in New Zealand. At the age of 75, he passed away following complications from a surgical procedure. His death occurred in the town of Palmerston North, far from his native Australian soil, but in a region where he was well regarded. The news of his passing marked the end of an era for Australian snooker, a sport he had carried on his shoulders for so long. His legacy is not just in the trophies he won, but in the generation of players he inspired down under. Eddie Charlton was laid to rest back in his homeland of Australia. His final resting place is at the Northern Suburbs Memorial Gardens and Crematorium, located in North Ryde, a suburb of Sydney, New South Wales. It is a peaceful and sprawling garden cemetery, known for its beautiful landscaping and serene atmosphere. Charlton's grave is a modest and dignified sight, befitting his no-nonsense personality. The specific plot is located within the Garden of Remembrance section. The memorial is a simple plaque, typical of the style in this cemetery, set in the ground amidst a tranquil lawn. The inscription is straightforward, bearing his name, dates of birth and death, and often a loving epitaph from his family. It stands as a humble tribute to a man who was a giant in Australian sport, a tenacious competitor whose impact on snooker and billiards in his country is still felt today. The location serves as a quiet reminder of his immense contribution to the Green Bays. George Chenier was a Canadian icon, a master of both snooker and billiards, who is widely regarded as Canada's greatest ever cue sports player. Nicknamed the Gentle Giant for his large frame and mild demeanor, Chenier was a dominant force, winning the North American Snooker Championship an incredible 20 times between 1948 and 1970. His elegant style and precision at the table made him a beloved figure in his home country and earned him respect internationally. He was instrumental in popularizing snooker in Canada, turning it from a niche pastime into a widely followed sport. His exhibitions and televised matches drew large audiences, and his name became synonymous with cue sports excellence north of the border. The final chapter of George Chenier's life closed on the 16th of November 1970 in Toronto, Ontario. He was 63 years old. His death was the result of a heart attack, a sudden end for a man who had been a constant and reassuring presence in the Canadian sporting landscape for decades. The news of his passing was a shock to the snooker and billiards community. It was a somber moment for Canadian sports, as the nation lost one of its most distinguished and gentlemanly champions. His career had spanned an era of significant change in the sport, and he had been its most prominent and successful Canadian figure throughout. George Chenier's final resting place is in his home province of Ontario. He was interred at Mount Hope Catholic Cemetery, located in Toronto. This historic cemetery is one of the oldest in the city, known for its rolling hills, mature trees, and a sense of deep-rooted community history. Chenier's grave is a testament to his faith and his standing in the community. The headstone is a traditional upright monument crafted from enduring granite. It bears the family name, Chenier, in prominent lettering. Below, his personal details are inscribed. His full name, George F. Chenier, and his years of life. The inscription is often accompanied by a simple cross reflecting his Catholic faith. It is a simple, classic, and dignified memorial, reflecting the character of the man himself. The gravesite stands as a quiet tribute to a Canadian sporting legend, a place where fans can pay their respects to the gentle giant who did so much to elevate the status of cue sports in his nation. Horace Lindrum was a distinguished member of Australia's most famous sporting dynasty, the Lindrum family. As the nephew of the legendary Walter Lindrum, Horace carved out his own remarkable career in both snooker and English billiards. He was a top professional for decades, known for his smooth cue action and tactical prowess. His career highlight came in 1952 when he won the World Snooker Championship, a victory that, while controversial due to a player boycott, officially places him in the pantheon of world champions. He was a prolific competitor, traveling the world and playing against the best of his era, always representing Australia with skill and class. Lindrum was a key figure in keeping professional snooker alive during some of its leaner years. Horace Lindrum's life concluded on the 20th of June, 1974, at the age of 62. He passed away in the Sydney suburb of Dee Why, New South Wales. The cause of death was bronchial carcinoma, a form of lung cancer. His health had been declining, and his death, while not entirely unexpected, was a sad loss for the global cue sports community. He had lived a life immersed in the clicks of ivory balls and the hushed atmosphere of the billiards hall, and his passing marked the end of a significant chapter in the story of his famous family and the sport they so masterfully played. Horace Lindrum is buried in the same cemetery as many other notable Australian figures, the Northern Suburbs Memorial Gardens and Crematorium in North Ryde, Sydney. His resting place is a reflection of the family's deep roots in the city. The grave is located in a lawn section of the cemetery, marked by a bronze plaque set flush with the ground. This style of memorial is common in the memorial gardens, creating a peaceful and open park-like environment. The plaque is inscribed with his name, Horace Norman Lindrum, his dates of birth and death, and a loving tribute from his family, often including the words, "in loving memory." It is a simple and understated memorial, yet it holds great significance as the final marker for a world snooker champion and a vital link in the chain of Australia's greatest sporting family. His grave serves as a quiet reminder of his achievements on the green baize and his place in the rich history of snooker. William Big Bill Werbeniuk was one of snooker's most unforgettable characters during the sport's boom years in the 1980s. The Canadian player was famous for his immense size and his prodigious consumption of lager, which he claimed was medically necessary to control a familial essential tremor. But beyond the larger-than-life persona, Werbeniuk was a formidable player. He was a four-time World Snooker Championship quarter-finalist and reached a peak world ranking of number 8. His powerful break-building and solid safety play made him a tough opponent for even the top players of his era. He was a beloved figure on the circuit, known for his gentle nature and dry wit. A true gentle giant of the game. Bill Werbeniuk's life came to a quiet end on the 20th of January 2003 in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. He was only 56 years old. The cause of his death was heart failure. After retiring from the professional snooker circuit in the early 1990s due to health issues and a ban related to the use of performance-enhancing drugs, beta blockers for his tremor, he had lived a much more private life. His final years were plagued by health problems, a stark contrast to the jovial, beer-drinking character fans remembered. His death saddened the snooker world, which mourned the loss of a unique and much-loved personality from its golden age. Bill Werbeniuk was laid to rest in his native Canada. He is interred at the Robinson Memorial Park Cemetery in Coquitlam, a suburb of Vancouver. It is a large, modern cemetery known for its well-kept grounds and tranquil setting. His grave is marked by a simple, flat granite marker, set level with the lawn. This type of grave marker is common in the cemetery and contributes to its open, park-like feel. The inscription is modest and direct, bearing his name, William Werbeniuk, his years of birth and death, and often a simple, heartfelt epitaph such as, "Beloved son and brother." It is an unpretentious memorial for a man who, despite his fame and flamboyant public image, was at his core a down-to-earth and private individual. The grave lies as a humble final tribute to one of snooker's most memorable characters, a man whose presence at the table and in the players' lounge would never be forgotten. John Pullman was an English professional snooker and English billiards player who was a dominant force in the sport during the 1960s. Following the retirement of Joe Davis, a vacuum was left at the top of the game, and Pullman was one of the key figures to fill it. He held the World Snooker Championship title from 1957 until 1968, defending it successfully in a series of challenge matches. Known for his slow, meticulous, and highly strategic style of play, Pullman was the epitome of the classic snooker professional. His reign bridged the gap between the challenge era and the modern knockout tournament format, making him a pivotal figure in the history of the championship. John Pullman passed away on Christmas Day, the 25th of December, 1998, at the age of 75. His death came after a fall at his home in Northamptonshire, England. The accident resulted in serious injuries from which he was unable to recover. His passing was a sad moment for the snooker world, as it lost one of its great champions and a direct link to the sport's post-war era. Pullman had remained involved in the game as a television commentator after his playing career, and his authoritative voice and deep knowledge were familiar to a new generation of fans. His death marked the closing of a significant chapter in snooker's history. John Pullman's final resting place is in the county where he spent his later years. He was buried in the Cemetery of the Saint, Mary the Virgin Church in the village of Gayton, Northamptonshire. This is a classic English parish churchyard, filled with history and a sense of enduring peace. The setting is picturesque and rural, a fittingly tranquil location for a man of his stature. His grave is marked by a traditional headstone, likely made of local stone or granite. The inscription on the headstone commemorates his life, bearing his full name, Herbert John Pullman, his dates of birth and death, and a personal message from his family. It stands among the other headstones in the quiet churchyard, a simple but lasting tribute to a man who held the most prestigious title in snooker for over a decade. The grave is a place of quiet reflection on an era of snooker defined by tactical battles and gentlemanly conduct. John Spencer was a pioneering figure in the modern era of professional snooker. A three-time World Snooker champion, he is most famously remembered for winning the inaugural World Championship held at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield in 1977. This victory cemented his place in snooker history. Spencer was known for his attacking style and was one of the first players to popularize the use of a two-piece cue. He was also the first player to make a televised century break. Alongside rivals like Ray Reardon, he dominated the sport in the 1970s and played a crucial role in its transition into a major televised spectacle. For many years, John Spencer battled myasthenia gravis, a debilitating autoimmune disease, which prematurely ended his top-flight playing career. In 2003, he was also diagnosed with stomach cancer. Despite these immense health challenges, he faced his illnesses with courage and dignity. He passed away on the 11th of July, 2006, at the age of 70, in a hospice in his hometown of Radcliffe, Greater Manchester. His death was a profound loss to the snooker community, which remembered him not only as a great champion, but also as a true gentleman of the sport and the first ever chairman of the World Professional Billiards and Snooker Association, WPBSA. John Spencer was laid to rest in his hometown, a place he was deeply connected to throughout his life. His funeral was held at the Radcliffe Parish Church, and he was subsequently buried in the Radcliffe Cemetery. This is a large municipal cemetery that has served the local community for generations. Spencer's grave is a place of pilgrimage for many snooker fans. It is marked by a distinctive and personal headstone made of black granite. The monument is notable for its detailed engravings. It features an excellent likeness of Spencer, cue in hand, lining up a shot at a snooker table. Below the image, his name is inscribed along with his status as a three-time World Snooker champion. The inscription often includes loving tributes from his family. This beautifully personalized memorial stands as a powerful and lasting tribute to the man who was the first king of the Crucible, a true innovator and a beloved figure in the world of snooker. Paul Hunter, known as the Beckham of the Bays for his good looks and charismatic personality, was one of snooker's brightest stars in the early 2000s. He burst onto the scene with a flair and talent that captivated audiences. Hunter was particularly renowned for his incredible success at the Masters tournament, which he won 3 times in 4 years, in 2001, 2002, and 2004. Each of these victories came in thrilling final frame deciders after he had been significantly behind, cementing his reputation as a tenacious and clutch performer. With a high world ranking of number 4, he was widely tipped to become a future world champion. Tragically, in March of 2005, Paul Hunter was diagnosed with neuroendocrine tumors, a rare form of cancer. Despite undergoing intensive chemotherapy and battling the disease with immense courage, his health declined. He continued to compete professionally for as long as he could, showing incredible determination. But the effects of his illness and treatment took their toll. He passed away on the 9th of October, 2006, just 5 days short of his 28th birthday. His death was a devastating blow to his family, friends, and the entire sporting world. The loss of such a young, vibrant, and talented player in the prime of his life was a tragedy that resonated far beyond the confines of snooker. Paul Hunter's funeral was a deeply emotional event, attended by many leading figures from the world of snooker. He was laid to rest at Huddersfield Parish Church in West Yorkshire, England. His grave is located in the churchyard, a place of peace and history in the heart of the town. The grave is marked by a beautiful and poignant headstone. It is a modern design, often adorned with fresh flowers left by family and fans. The headstone is inscribed with his name, Paul Allen Hunter, and his dates. Crucially, it bears a loving epitaph that often includes the words, "Legend," reflecting his status in the eyes of those who knew and admired him. It also serves as a memorial to his roles as a husband and a father, as his daughter was born shortly before his death. The gravesite has become a place of special significance for the snooker community, a somber but important reminder of a brilliant talent taken far too soon. William Joseph Mosconi, universally known as Willie Mosconi, was an American professional pool player who is arguably the most dominant and famous name in the history of the sport. From Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Mosconi's name became synonymous with pool. He won the World Straight Pool Championship an unmatched 15 times between 1941 and 1957. His skill was so extraordinary that he set numerous records, including the officially recognized world record for a straight pool high run, pocketing 526 consecutive balls in an exhibition in 1954. He served as the technical advisor for the classic 1961 film The Hustler, starring Paul Newman, which helped to further cement his legendary status and bring the sport to a mainstream audience. Willie Mosconi's long and celebrated life came to an end on the 16th of September, 1993. He passed away at his home in Haddon Heights, New Jersey, at the age of 80. The cause of death was a heart attack. He had remained a revered elder statesman of the sport long after his competitive retirement, and his passing was mourned by players and fans across the world. He was more than just a champion. He was the standard bearer for pocket billiards, a figure who represented skill, discipline, and class. His death marked the definitive end of an era he had almost single-handedly defined. Willie Mosconi was interred at the Holy Cross Cemetery in Yeadon, a suburb of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the city where his incredible journey began. Holy Cross is a large Catholic cemetery, the final resting place for many prominent figures from the Philadelphia area. Mosconi's grave is marked by a substantial and dignified granite headstone. It is a family plot, with the name Mosconi carved prominently at the top. His individual inscription includes his full name, William J. Mosconi, and his dates of birth and death. The headstone is notable for a special tribute to his unparalleled career. Often, there is an engraving of a set of billiard balls and a cue stick, a clear and permanent symbol of the passion that defined his life. It is a fitting and lasting memorial to the man they called Mr. Pocket Billiards, a simple yet powerful tribute to the greatest straight pool player who ever lived. The grave serves as a final testament to a legacy that is etched into the very fabric of the sport. William Joseph Mosconi, universally known as Willie Mosconi, was an American professional pool player who is arguably the most dominant and famous name in the history of the sport. From Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Mosconi's name became synonymous with pool. He won the World Straight Pool Championship an unmatched 15 times between 1941 and 1957. His skill was so extraordinary that he set numerous records, including the officially recognized world record for a straight pool high run, pocketing 526 consecutive balls in an exhibition in 1954. He served as the technical advisor for the classic 1961 film The Hustler, starring Paul Newman, which helped to further cement his legendary status and bring the sport to a mainstream audience. Willie Mosconi's long and celebrated life came to an end on the 16th of September, 1993. He passed away at his home in Haddon Heights, New Jersey, at the age of 80. The cause of death was a heart attack. He had remained a revered elder statesman of the sport long after his competitive retirement, and his passing was mourned by players and fans across the world. He was more than just a champion. He was the standard bearer for pocket billiards, a figure who represented skill, discipline, and class. His death marked the definitive end of an era he had almost single-handedly defined. Willie Mosconi was interred at the Holy Cross Cemetery in Yeadon, a suburb of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the city where his incredible journey began. Holy Cross is a large Catholic cemetery, the final resting place for many prominent figures from the Philadelphia area. Mosconi's grave is marked by a substantial and dignified granite headstone. It is a family plot, with the name Mosconi carved prominently at the top. His individual inscription includes his full name, William J. Mosconi, and his dates of birth and death. The headstone is notable for a special tribute to his unparalleled career. Often, there is an engraving of a set of billiard balls and a cue stick, a clear and permanent symbol of the passion that defined his life. It is a fitting and lasting memorial to the man they called Mr. Pocket Billiards, a simple yet powerful tribute to the greatest straight pool player who ever lived. The grave serves as a final testament to a legacy that is etched into the very fabric of the sport. Rudolph Walter Wanderone, better known by his self-proclaimed and unforgettable moniker Minnesota Fats, was one of the most famous and flamboyant figures in the history of pool. While his actual playing achievements are often debated and are certainly less documented than those of contemporaries like Willie Mosconi, his skill as a showman and hustler was legendary. He shot to international fame after the release of the 1961 film The Hustler, claiming to be the real-life character of Minnesota Fats portrayed in the movie, a claim disputed by the novel's author. Regardless, he capitalized on the persona, becoming a television celebrity, an entertainer, and the most recognizable face in pool for a generation of Americans. He was a master of trick shots and a captivating storyteller who brought an unparalleled level of entertainment and publicity to the game. Minnesota Fats lived a long and colorful life, passing away on the 18th of January, 1996, just a few days shy of his 83rd birthday in Nashville, Tennessee. The cause of death was congestive heart failure. He had been in poor health for several years, but his death nonetheless made headlines as the passing of a true American original. He had outlived many of his contemporaries and had seen the world of pool change dramatically, in no small part due to the larger-than-life personality he had crafted. He was a hustler, an entertainer, and above all, a character who left an indelible mark on American popular culture. Rudolph Wanderone is buried in Mount Calvary Cemetery in Nashville, Tennessee. His grave is perhaps the most famous and certainly the most quotable in all of cue sports, a perfect reflection of his personality. The large black granite headstone is immediately striking. At the top, it bears the name he made world famous, Minnesota Fats, but it is the epitaph he wrote for himself that makes it a true landmark. In bold, capital letters, the inscription reads, "Beat every living creature on earth. St. Peter, rack 'em up, Fats." This final boast is pure, unadulterated Minnesota Fats, a mix of bravado, humor, and a wink to the audience. It encapsulates the persona he maintained until the very end. The grave is a popular sight for fans of pool and Americana, a final, perfectly executed piece of showmanship from the greatest entertainer the game has ever known. It ensures that even in death, Minnesota Fats gets the last word. William Frederick Hopp, known professionally as Willie Hopp, was an American billiards player who is widely considered one of the greatest of all time, particularly in the disciplines of carom billiards. A child prodigy, he began performing exhibition matches at a very young age and won his first world title at just 18 years old in 1906. His career was remarkable for its longevity and sustained excellence. He was a world champion in 3 different decades and won a staggering 51 world titles between 1906 and 1952. Hoppe was known for his incredible precision, his calm and focused demeanor, and his impeccable sportsmanship. He was a true gentleman of the sport and a dominant force for nearly half a century. Willie Hop's life concluded on the 1st of February, 1959, in Miami, Florida. He was 71 years old. He passed away from an occlusive coronary artery disease, having battled health issues in his later years. His death was a major event in the sporting world, marking the end of a legendary career that had spanned from the gaslight era to the age of television. Tributes poured in from around the globe, recognizing him as not just a great champion, but as a figure who embodied the highest ideals of sport. He had been a household name for generations, and his passing was felt deeply by all who followed the intricate and beautiful game he had mastered. Willie Hop's final resting place is at the Kensico Cemetery in Valhalla, Westchester County, New York. Kensico is one of the most prestigious cemeteries in the New York metropolitan area, known for its beautiful landscape and as the resting place of many famous individuals, including Lou Gehrig and Sergei Rachmaninoff. Hoppe is interred in a family mausoleum, a stately and impressive structure that reflects his stature and success. The mausoleum is a private, above-ground granite building designed to stand the test of time. The family name Hoppe is carved in large letters above the entrance. Inside, his crypt is marked with a simple inscription bearing his name and dates. The choice of a mausoleum provides a sense of privacy and permanence, a dignified and grand final tribute to a man whose career was defined by enduring excellence. It stands as a powerful monument to the undisputed king of carom billiards. Walter Albert Lindrum is, by almost any measure, the greatest English billiards player who ever lived. The Australian phenom was the most distinguished member of the legendary Lindrum family of cueists. His dominance over the sport in the 1930s was absolute and statistically staggering. He possessed a level of cue ball control that was almost supernatural, allowing him to compile breaks that were previously thought impossible. He held the World Professional Billiards Championship from 1933 until his retirement in 1950. Lindrum set over 50 world records during his career, many of which are unlikely ever to be broken. His influence was so profound that the rules of billiards were changed multiple times in an attempt to curb his relentless scoring and make contests more competitive. Walter Lindrum passed away suddenly on the 30th of July, 1960, at the age of 61. He died in Surfers Paradise, Queensland, Australia, while on holiday. The cause of death was officially listed as heart failure, but the circumstances were related to a bout of influenza that had spread through his family. His death was unexpected and shocked the sporting world, particularly in Australia, where he was revered as a national hero. He had been a global celebrity, a figure whose skill transcended the niche world of billiards and made him a household name. The Don Bradman of billiards was gone, leaving behind a legacy of untouchable records and a reputation for pure genius. Walter Lindrum was honored with a state funeral, a testament to his immense standing in Australian society. He was laid to rest at the Melbourne General Cemetery in Carlton, North Victoria. His grave is one of the most prominent and visited memorials within the cemetery. It is marked by a large and distinctive monument, fitting for a sportsman of his stature. The grave features a striking black granite headstone in the shape of a billiard table. On top of the table, there is a bronze sculpture depicting a draped cloth, a cue stick, and a set of billiard balls, frozen in time as if in the middle of a break. The inscription on the monument details his name and dates, and importantly, it proclaims him the world's greatest billiards player. The memorial is a spectacular and artistic tribute, a landmark that perfectly captures the essence of his life and career. It remains a powerful symbol of his unparalleled mastery of the game. Fred Davis was an English professional player of both snooker and English billiards, and one of the most important and successful players in the history of both games. As the younger brother of the legendary Joe Davis, Fred spent the early part of his career in his brother's shadow. However, he emerged to become a giant of the sport in his own right. He was a three-time world snooker champion, winning the title in 1948, 1949, and 1951. He won a further 5 world match play titles during the 1950s. His career was incredibly long, and he remained a competitive force well into his old age, famously reaching the World Championship semifinal in 1978 at the age of 64. His smooth, classic technique and calm temperament made him a respected and admired figure for over 6 decades. Fred Davis passed away on the 16th of April, 1998 at the age of 84. His death followed a heart attack he suffered in his home in Denbigh, Wales. He had been active and in relatively good health until the end, a testament to a lifetime of dedication. His passing was a deeply sad moment for the world of snooker. He was not just a champion, but a foundational pillar of the professional game, a link to its origins who had successfully transitioned into its modern television era. He was admired by generations of players, many of whom he had mentored or inspired. The loss of Fred Davis was truly the end of an era. Fred Davis was laid to rest in the town he had called home for many years. His funeral service was held in Denbigh, Wales, and he was buried at the Eglwys Wen Cemetery, also known as Whitchurch Cemetery, just outside the town. The cemetery is a peaceful, rural Welsh burial ground with beautiful views of the surrounding Clwydian Range. His grave is marked by a simple yet elegant headstone, a reflection of his own understated and dignified character. The headstone is made of a dark, polished granite and is inscribed with his name, Fred Davis, and his dates of birth and death. It also bears a loving tribute from his family, often mentioning his cherished role as a husband, father, and grandfather. Beneath his name, the inscription proudly notes his status as a world snooker champion, a simple and powerful summary of his professional life. The grave is a modest but poignant tribute to a true legend of the Green Bays, a man whose grace and skill left an indelible mark on the sport. Alexander Gordon Higgins, universally known as Alex Hurricane Higgins, was a Northern Irish professional snooker player who was one of the most iconic and influential figures in the sport's history. He was a two-time world snooker champion, winning in 1972 and most memorably, in 1982. Higgins was beloved for his incredibly fast, flamboyant, and thrilling style of play. He brought a rock and roll attitude to a traditionally reserved game, captivating a massive television audience and inspiring a new generation of players. His battles with rivals like Steve Davis and Jimmy White are legendary. He was nicknamed the People's Champion for his immense popularity and his emotional, heart-on-his-sleeve approach to the game. Higgins' life off the table was as turbulent as his play was brilliant. He battled with alcohol, gambling, and a notoriously volatile temperament. His later years were marked by a long and difficult fight with throat cancer, which was first diagnosed in the late 1990s. The disease and its treatments ravaged his body, leaving him frail and weighing very little. He died on the 24th of July, 2010, in his flat in Belfast, Northern Ireland. The cause of death was a combination of malnutrition and pneumonia, complications from his long illness. He was 61 years old. His death prompted a massive outpouring of grief, especially in his native Northern Ireland, where he was revered as a national hero. Alex Higgins was given a hero's send-off. His funeral at St. Anne's Cathedral in Belfast was a major public event, broadcast live and attended by thousands of mourners who lined the streets to pay their last respects. He was buried at Carnmoney Cemetery North, in Newtown Abbey, just outside Belfast. His grave is a place of pilgrimage for his legions of fans. It is marked by a beautiful and personal black granite headstone. The stone features a large, finely etched portrait of Higgins in his prime, capturing his intense gaze. Below his name and dates, there is an inscription that reads, "The People's Champion," the title he cherished most. The grave also features engravings of a snooker table and balls. It is a powerful and fitting tribute to a man who lived life in the fast lane and changed the face of snooker forever. The memorial captures the charisma and legacy of one of sport's most compelling and tragic figures. Joe Davis was, without question, the founding father of modern snooker. An English professional player of both snooker and English billiards, his influence on the game is immeasurable. He was the driving force behind the creation of the World Snooker Championship in 1927 and went on to win the title for 15 consecutive years, remaining undefeated until his retirement from the event in 1946. He set the standards for technique, break building, and tactical play that are still fundamental to the game today. He was the first player to make an officially recognized maximum 147 break in 1955. Joe Davis was not just a player, he was an innovator, an organizer, and the man who single-handedly elevated snooker from a backroom pastime to a legitimate professional sport. After retiring from championship play, Joe Davis remained a towering figure in the sport, playing exhibition matches and continuing to promote the game he loved. In 1978, he was watching his younger brother Fred play in the World Championship semi-final at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield when he collapsed. He was taken to the hospital, where he was diagnosed with a terminal illness. He passed away 2 months later on the 10th of July, 1978, in a hospital in Hampshire, England, at the age of 77. The cause of death was a chest infection that his body could no longer fight. His passing occurred during the dawn of snooker's television boom, a boom that his life's work had made possible. The entire sport mourned the loss of its patriarch. Joe Davis was laid to rest in a location deeply connected to the heart of snooker. He is buried at Rivelin Valley Cemetery in Sheffield, the very city that would become the spiritual home of the sport he professionalized and the host of the World Championship at the Crucible. His grave is surprisingly modest for a man of his monumental importance, a reflection of his humble and dedicated personality. The grave is marked by a simple, upright headstone made of light-colored stone. The inscription is straightforward and dignified. It bears his name, Joe Davis, his dates, and the simple but all-encompassing epitaph, a snooker legend. It is a powerful statement of his legacy. The grave overlooks the rolling hills of the Rivelin Valley, a peaceful and scenic final resting place for the man who created the game as we know it. It stands as the ultimate shrine for any snooker enthusiast, a humble stone marking the spot where the sport's greatest pioneer rests.